This is a Culture Inject production. The Nevers Podcast presents In Conversation With.
Welcome back to another episode of In Conversation With. Today I'm joined by actor Amy Manson. Amy has appeared in Torchwood, Once Upon a Time, The White Princess, and of course, The Nevers. So welcome to the Nevers Podcast, Amy.
Thank you for having me. I've been following you guys.
So I guess we'll just start with some background on you. So where did you grow up, Amy?
I grew up in a small town outside of Aberdeen. Yeah, so it was...
Do you still live up in that area now, or have you kind of travelled around?
I don't. I'm in London at the moment. So, I moved to London when I was about 17, 18 to attend drama school. So this is where all my buddies are and what I know. So I guess I've kind of been in London longer than I have in Scotland.
Okay.
Which is appalling.
I guess that kind of leads us into our next question, which is when did you start acting? And was it something that you was always interested in?
No, it wasn't something I was always interested in. I attended this drama school called Stagecoach on a Saturday morning. I guess not to keep me out of trouble, but because I don't really know why I attended. Maybe it was more like a confidence thing, I guess, at the start. And I grew just a passion for acting. I mean, I couldn't sing or dance to save my life, but the acting strand at the Saturday drama school really tickled me. And I guess I just, really fell in love with the drama teacher, really connected with her. She believed in me and really urged me to trial out for drama schools in London, which I did and was fortunate enough to get into one, Central School of Speech and Drama. On the day, in fact. So my kind of life changed overnight on my first trip to London.
Wow, that's
I think it was
exciting. You said you were Stagecoach, so was that performing strictly on stage? Have you performed on stage once you kind of got into it, or has it mostly been film and television?
Stagecoach was all theatre based. So I think we did the musical Godspell. I remember that when I was about 15, and sang terribly in that. But yeah, apart from that, there was no film or TV. It wasn't like Sylvia Young's or anything like that. It was just, it was something that you attended for 3 hours on a Saturday and participated in each strand, singing, dancing and acting. And that culminated in an end of term show, much like it does at drama school as well, to be honest.
Is acting on stage something you'd like to do more of now, or?
Definitely. Oh, I just miss it so much. There was an opportunity for me to be on stage now, actually, and that kind of crossed over with the Nevers, so that was quite unfortunate, because I think that gives you a chance to, really pick apart a character. Sometimes I just feel that there's not enough time, and the research part of what I do is what fuels me and thrills me and what I look forward to sometimes the most out of any, given role or job. So I think that being given the chance to fail on stage, to trial and error and fail again until you come up with what you believe to be, the answer to this character and the character's headspace is a golden opportunity that I think any actor should chase and jump at the chance of. And I think it makes you a better actor as well, to be honest.
And what was your first on-screen role then?
Oh, golly, this is a good question. I think it was still at drama school. It was The Bill. So I think it was a domestic abuse case, I think, for a few episodes. And I think that's when I started to drink coffee too, because of the early morning shifts, 5 a.m.ers.
Yeah, long days, you need that coffee to get you going. So how did you hear about the role of Maladie? Did you know from the very beginning that the role was for a HBO series or the Nevers, or was it kind of just you weren't really sure, but you went into it anyway?
I knew it was HBO, Joss Whedon, and it was called The Nevers. But Maladie had an alias, which was Mabel. And it was only one scene that we had to go on. I think all of us, actually, every character, nobody got a script. I don't think there was a script at the time of casting.
Okay.
And yeah, and I went into Nina Gold's office and showed them what I had made of this one scene, and then got a call back and met with Nina and Joss and did it again and spoke about the part and the project and yeah, I fell in love with Mabel even more after that meeting. It was great.
My next question was, could you tell us more about the audition process? So you had the one audition and then they called you back. Was it pretty much you had the part from there and you started working with them, or did you have more callbacks?
No, that was it. It was one of those meetings that, yeah, I felt like I couldn't have done any more. You know, it was there, like I exploded on Joss and Nina in the sense of, you know, I kind of picked that scene apart for weeks. So I just kind of, exploded and told them everything I thought I knew about this character, which of course was irrelevant. And Joss told me everything that he made out her to be. And it was just kind of, I found out, I think it was a bank holiday weekend. So I think it just took a lot longer for me to find out the news. And and then when I found out the news, I called my mum first and then just broke down in tears, as I always do when I get a part. That's a thing. So and then we had to wait a few months, I think, before we started properly.
So it was very, very secret, I guess, for you.
Yes. Yeah. The only thing we knew was that Laura had been cast.
It's funny to kind of, I think you see it a lot. You assume, I guess, as a viewer that everybody involved knows everything. But I guess a lot of people wait quite a long time until they know they've got a role. And then like you had the role and it was quite a long time before you actually kind of delve in and actually find anything more about it. Have you ever, sometimes actors also audition for one role, but the director or the producers might think that you're more suitable to another role and cast you in that. Has that ever happened to you?
It did, yes. I did this Scottish film called Beats, maybe about 3-4 years ago. And I auditioned for the mother of the main character, Spanner. And then I heard back 2 weeks later that the director, and I think it was actually, I owe it to his partner, because she said, I think maybe Amy should trial out for the mad younger character. So that's what I did, and then ended up playing her.
So with the character from the Nevers, it seems like Maladie, out of all of them, would require the most preparation. How did you get into the headspace of a character like hers? You know, how do you prepare yourself? Do you do any research or anything to kind of like prepare yourself physically? Because she's quite a character.
Yeah, I tried to think of her, because by that stage I knew that there was Sarah was there. So we had Sarah and Maladie to play with, and I kind of tried to get myself into a space of playing, you know, the archetype of the innocent and also the archetype of the destroyer. And these were two different factions of the same person that I tried to just intertwine in a way, as though like the audience sees Maladie, there's always Sarah vibrating at an under level, you know, the purest form, the love that was within Maladie that she hates, about the fact that she was Sarah is always there and it's always bubbling. And I tried to always, you know, that's what Maladie's suppressing. So I needed to understand what Sarah was, who Sarah was, in order to understand how I was going to play Maladie. And everything that Sarah was, I just played the antithesis of with Maladie. And I think that, you know, Maladie sees Sarah as a wimp. And I think she ridicules Sarah and hates the fact that she once was that, you know, that woman, and who never really had a voice, who, you know, was like saying boo to a goose, who was quiet. So Maladie's in a mocking mode when we see her at the beginning of or at the end of episode 1, but the beginning of her journey. And language, obviously, is a big thing with Maladie, and I just had to understand how Sarah spoke and made sure that Maladie almost, you know, she was taking the mick out of that also. So it's a more grandeur, a more bigger, bolder Cockney accent that I ended up adopting for Maladie. And yeah, it was just understanding why she wanted to wreak havoc on society, and then understanding what it would feel like to have gone through what Maladie had gone through at the hands of these doctors, at the hands of people who were supposed to save her and protect her. And that was something else that gave me the drive to play Maladie, because she's only got, one direction. She needs to find out why she's been chosen by God. And then also, why she was the one that was chosen to be pulled apart by Dr. Haig. And so Dr. Haig what she went through at the hands of Dr. Haig needed to be vibrant in my mind, for that to be my objective that I'm striving to achieve, or that Maladie's striving to achieve the whole way through. And then, of course, when you get into the room, everything kind of goes out the window, because with Maladie, there are no rules. That's it. I needed to understand all the fundamentals and understand her truth and the inner workings, to then, to throw it all away and have fun, because that's what she's doing. She's holding two fingers up to society because of how they manipulated and tore her apart. And that's what she's intent on doing to them at the same time. And then I had to get her in my body a lot too, because I needed to understand how that basically helped me with the quick changes of thought that Maladie has, and to make that conducive to her, objective and direction still at any given moment that you see Maladie, because everything makes sense to her, of course. But as an audience, another objective of Amy as the performer of Maladie is that I don't want you to fully understand Maladie ever. That's the beauty of Maladie, that you're constantly going, what's coming next? And she's constantly shocking and surprising you as a viewer. But that also that she's a step ahead of society and Mundi and all the angels, all the doctors. And that's what is exciting about Maladie, because I believe she set up something in episode 1 that will only come to fruition come the end of episode 12, I hope.
Well, we look forward to seeing that, of course.
Yeah.
So how much of yourself do you think you've brought to the character, and how much was initially planned out by Joss? And how much did you have quite a bit of leeway once you were kind of explained who this character is? Did you get quite a lot of freedom for you to figure that out yourself, or was it kind of like this is what we want and you had to go with that? Joss did instill boundaries for all of us, I think, but also there was he gifted a lot of time for all of us to sit down one-on-one and discuss. And there was, I needed rhyme and reason as to why Maladie was behaving the way she was. And I also found it really hard to understand the coquettish side of her as Maladie, that little girl. And how I got there in the end was I just understood that was, another archetype that she played because she could. And that was a form of her mocking Sarah. That's how I kind of I understood it in my head, but I found it really hard initially to understand the laugh, that kind of Maladie's little excitable, oh wow, that's amazing, or oh look what I've done, it's like a pat on the back to herself. So that took a while, and I think that's the only time that Joss and I kind of had long-winded chats as to does she need to be like this? And I think that's part of the beauty of Maladie. And I'm so glad that we kept that in. And he's got such a clear vision, and he's the creator of this universe. And you want to kind of, you want to understand it, but you also want to bring your own, judgment to the character, because you're the one that's speaking her truth and thoughts, and that needs to make sense, and there's nobody that would ever force me to do things that I didn't want to do. And I think I speak for all the cast in that sense. But I always think two heads are better than one. And there's so many people that came together, and Joss would tell everybody parts of their character and where their character was heading. And then we would all kind of piece it together within ourselves. We'd phone up each other and go, did you hear about this? Or this makes sense. And this, so it was just like a big jigsaw puzzle. But very much a collaborative effort with all writers, all producers, and all the cast, to be honest. I have to say, you mentioned the la. I absolutely love it. I love that, just that look. I mean, the dialogue that you have is so insane. You are fantastic. But yeah, I love just that. Because like you said, she's such a puzzle. And as a viewer, you're never quite sure where you're at. So it's little moments like that that just, throw it out the park for me.
Yeah, but it's also, you do all this to kind of, like, I felt free on stage. And that's the thing that Joss wanted. He wanted me to be so secure, and he gifted me so much of his time discussing Maladie. And he just wanted me to be secure, to play and change on any given moment and on a dime, when I was on stage, to have that freedom. So he just went, go and you do what you wanted to do. There were certain marks that I needed to hit because that's the plot and storyline, that always is. But yeah, I felt secure and just being able to do what I wanted to do by the end of it. It's almost like he just gifted me, such a unique, strong-willed, resilient human being. And I just had to grasp that and make her my own.
We've got a question from a listener. So this question was given to us on Twitter by our pal Berza Halverson. They want to know, did you model the physicality of Maladie on anyone? Did you get any inspiration on this character from anyone else?
No, I actually went back to my drama school teacher at Central, and we worked on the physicality and understanding in Victorian England who Maladie was, or who Sarah was as a child, and who she wanted to be. She probably wanted to be an Effie figure. She wanted to be this part of the the elite woman, the new woman, have her own mind, have a job. All this sort of thing is what she was attaining to as maybe a teenager, and she became a housewife, maybe minus a purpose because there was a cleaner or etc. So with this drama teacher, we worked a lot on like physicalizing what it would be like to be Sarah as a child. Was her father around? Did she watch her mother in childbirth? Did her mother pass away in childbirth? How that meant to her, and the drama school teacher would ask me, how does this feel? How does it feel not to have a brother? How does it feel to be alone in the world? And would really push me to understand that sort of pain and loneliness, and then moving into if she was an orphan, what would it be like to be present within an orphanage? Was she physically abused by a matron? How did that feel? Is that where the temperamental malady kind of elements of that came into play? Because maybe how did it feel when somebody hit you? In the end, did you feel angry, or was it sore? Just understanding those fundamentals, and those were the building blocks for Sarah. So when Maladie gets pulled apart by Dr. Haig, there's elements of all those traits that Maladie adopts within Sarah from her past. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. It's all kind of there, and also we played a lot with I would be saying a line, then all of a sudden I'd move my body to move into saying another line, and find that like disjointed physicality of Maladie there as well. And also I drank a lot of Red Bull. That helped. Just his energy level.
Well, thank you for the question, Berza. We've got another question from Twitter from Anil Kinrit. They're asking, the Effie Reveal was a memorable scene. How far into filming did you know they were going to introduce her character? Like, were you as surprised as we were?
Oh, yes. I mean, when I remember reading it going, oh my God, how am I going to do this? This is like, how are you going to pull it off? And I remember because I adore Chris Blundell, the makeup designer, and I remember Chris wanted to trial out an Effie look. So she took me into set one day, and everybody was in the studio filming. So we put on the Effie wig, and initially Effie had these really like big buck teeth and this kind of like a bigger nose, and that was all taken out in CGI because it was almost like Effie stood out too much in this world in the end. So they kind of had a more subdued look to her, and I didn't have the costume on, so I just went in and sat in Video Village to watch to watch the cameras and what was going on set. So I just sat down in one of the, I think it was a writer's chair, sat down, and of course everybody's looking over thinking, who's that? And even Joss sat down in the director's chair in front and looked behind like that, and then just smiled and looked in the front, looked back to the front. Nobody said anything. And then, of course, and all the cast were coming. I remember Anne Skelly coming over and going, "Oh, nice to meet you." And then I had on her accent and was talking like this and hello. And then all of a sudden I just couldn't, and I just broke and started laughing. And it was actually Anne Skelly who was like, "Amy, oh my God, it's Amy." And then Joss turned around and he loved it. And that was the start of, the whole Effie journey. So that was amazing. But as far as knowing that was going to happen within the script, no, we had no idea. That's the beauty of Joss's mind. It's just, it can go off in any different direction, but it just showed me how clever Maladie is, really, truly, that she had began this journey from episode 1.
Yeah, I think that's something we talk about a lot, is how, still trying to figure Maladie out, and how we're wondering whether, what kind of is her resting kind of state, because she plays Effie so well. Which is the act? Is this over theatrical kind of put on, or is that her normal, or is that's something we're questioning with our viewers? But she's just I don't think. Well, I think they all reside within each other. It's one of those
Matryoshka dolls, the Russian dolls that you unveil, but the true essence is it's definitely Sarah there. That's why when what happens with Mary, and how Mary has such an effect on her, because Mary makes her feel love, and that's painful for Maladie, and it's almost that makes her into a victim, and that's what Maladie doesn't want to become, even though she's gone through everything she's gone through at the hands of Hagen and cronies. She doesn't want to be a victim. She believes she's going through all this suffering because she's been chosen by God. It's almost like a big, Greek tragedy in a way, Maladie and Effie and Sarah. And, the tragedy kind of, it leads you to a better understanding of what it means to be human. Yeah. And the humanity is, and empathy kind of lies within Sarah, I think. And that's why Maladie has such fun playing Effie, because that's who Sarah truly ultimately would have wanted to become. A new age woman making decisions for herself, not drinking laudanum, waiting for her husband to come home and from work, watching the cleaner tidy the house when, she's got no kids and no purpose. And imagine that sort of mind to be in every day. In a time when people didn't speak about anxiety. That's exactly what Sarah would have been going through,
Yeah.
But so I think Effie, she's relishing Effie and who she is, and especially when she's writing the lines, then she's there. She's just reeling them all in and enjoying every moment. But I think there's still, as I say, there's element. There's humanity within there somewhere, and I hope that my whole question initially when I started as Maladie was like, how do you sustain her? And these, she vibrates in such a high frequency. How do I keep that going throughout however many seasons we're fortunate enough to get? And that's it. So I think she's a shapeshifter. And I think she's the one that we have to watch out for through it all, to be honest.
Great. Well, thank you, Anila Kinrit, for the question.
Thank you.
So Maladie is an intense and erratic character. Do you do anything once the director calls cut, to go back to your trailer and get back into like Amy's mindset?
Yeah, it kind of feels like Maladie feels like what it feels like for me to be on stage. And I've been fortunate enough to play these huge, stunning characters in some surreal plays in my life. And the weight of text, context, and performing on stage is so heavy that when you come off, you almost just feel like numb, and your brain just kind of switches off. And that's what it feels like to be Maladie. The adrenaline is pumping and it's so high that it's just like, you just at the end, you're just, so you kind of, I stopped speaking to friends and family so much because I would come home and they would want to find out what the day was like and how it was working with everyone. But it just takes so much mental energy to understand her, let alone physicality, to hop about as her, that I would come home and just have to kind of, it's weird because your body's still going and your mind's still going, but it feels like you're not thinking about anything. So I guess that's adrenaline, isn't it? But a nice cup of tea and chill time.
So talking kind of about mental health, you're saying that, stuff like this can take a bit of a toll on your mental health. You're a champion of mental well-being and have worked with charity organisations. How did you get involved with them and why are they important to you?
Absolutely, yes. My cousin, who's in the Air Force, his mother took her life by suicide maybe about 13, 14 years ago. So he's a big champion for mental health awareness, and he asked me to join a charity cycle for Heads Together maybe about 3 years ago. And I joined him and my other cousins and some of his friends who were in the Air Force or some Olympians, and we cycled across Scotland from Glenfinnan to Stonehaven, which was strenuous, but we did it like 180 miles in 4 days. And I just got the bug for being outside and cycling. And and for the people that I spoke to doing that opened up my mind to the, effect I could possibly have through my reach to my fans, and that's when I started to think about it more seriously. So in lockdown last year, another friend is head of a charity up in Aviemore in Scotland. And it was a respite for children with mental difficulties, but now Alzheimer's Scotland has taken over the premises. So I went there to help maintain the land and plant trees and mow the lawns and all of the above. And also at the same time, I lived in a pod in the middle of nowhere, in a forest surrounded by these beautiful mountains. And I also got to the stage where I had to step back from the work every day and kind of go, what do I need to nurture myself? Because it could have been a very lonely existence. I mean, it was, but it was a very, it was a life-changing time for me. And also, I had to step away sometimes and go, what do I need to calm my mind, to be kind to myself, to give myself some self-love. And that entailed loch swimming or getting out on the bike, the wind in your face, and just to be able to switch off your mind for a while and just be kind to myself. So that's something huge that I kind of adopted when I was up there in the wilds of Scotland.
Oh, I bet it's beautiful up there.
No, I know. I miss it now, actually. Yes, if I could hop on a plane right now, I would.
So much of your work has been sci-fi and fantasy shows and films, using Doom Annihilation, The White Princess, Once Upon a Time, Atlantis, Being Human, and now The Nevers. So your genre of choice seems to be sci-fi. Is that fair to say? Yes, definitely. I don't know why. I think I fought for all those roles. So I don't know. Again, maybe the heightened emotions, because I don't connect those sorts of emotions in my everyday life. I don't know why I tend to gravitate towards and understand those sorts of psyches, I guess. So there's no rhyme or reason there either. It's just kind of been, I don't believe in luck. I believe you make your own luck, but the luck of the draw, I guess, and what's come up at any given time. But they've always been powerful women. They've gone through a hell of a lot of pain, and they probably all need to go and live in a pod in the Highlands, which is self-care. But they've always been a joy and always so physical as well. And, I used to train heavily in netball for Aberdeen. So I think maybe it's something to do with that as well. I don't know, that they've always been kind of powerhouses of women and require a lot of physical exertion. So maybe there's some elements there that I'm drawn to as well. I don't know. I've never really sat down and thought about it in that way. But you enjoy it, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, I love it so much. I love it because there's always such a journey and such an arc, and the characters' super objectives are so heightened and just outlandish that, it's not just us having a chat here, and somebody's filming it. Although I would like to maybe do something a bit more subdued like that and for it to be more normal, I guess. But my friends would probably say that I'm not normal, so maybe there's elements of my characters and myself.
Oh. Is it true that you were almost cast as Diana in the CW Wonder Woman series Amazon before plans were cancelled by both the network and the producers?
Well, I think that was taken a bit far out of context. I went in a few times like everybody does. And then that, you go, like what I said about the Joss situation. But normally you would go in again and then have a screen test and all that sort of auditions that require energy. But no, I just went in a few times for that. And whatever journalist took it to the next level to probably sell a newspaper. So,
Is there a dream role that you'd like to play?
I'd say Maladie is as close to a dream role as there's ever going to be, I hope that this goes on for a long time because I'm having so much fun playing her. But I guess, Lady Macbeth, and a lot of the plays that I've done are women, it all falls into this kind of banner of, again, Greek tragedy. And it's all these sorts of emotions that I'm able to explore and the psychologies of these women and understanding why they all behave the way they do. And it gives me a real kick. I wake up every day feeling like, a Monday's my Friday. It just excites me so much, the storytelling element of it. And, I'm grateful for any job that comes my way. And I hope now after the Nevers, I'm able to, that maybe gets me to a level where there's that I stay at, the sort of Malady kind of beautiful, huge shapeshifter characters, I guess. Challenging characters, that's what it is, isn't it? Nice
and challenging, yeah. So when the show returns for the second half of the season, it's helmed by the new showrunner, Philippa Goslett. Has the cast already met with her, and do you all know where she plans to take the show?
So we haven't met in person, but I've spoken to her about 3-4 times. She, again, is very, very great with her time and understanding of Maladie. And I was in the writer's room the other day. So I thought everything that went on with Maladie this season was mental and wonderful, but next, and part B is just mind-blowing. I mean, I never knew how they would, what Maladie's journey was going to be and how I was able to kind of progress that, but it just gets even better. It really is phenomenal writing, and all these writers have put in a lot of time. So I know where my arc goes up until episode 12.
And you're excited.
It's so good. Yeah, I'm like, how does it get better? But it gets better. It's so great.
Well, when the actors and the people involved in the show are this excited about it, then, that gives us something to be really, really excited about.
Yeah, we all are. And even on WhatsApp, but none of us have got together to speak about this as yet. I don't think any of us will speak about storylines until we start, whenever that will be, this summer sometime. But they're writing scripts, as we chat type thing. And it's just phenomenal. There's no scripts like it. Honestly, these are the best scripts that I've ever read in my life, and best storylines, truly. And for that to be kind of, kind of mirrored with like Gemma Jackson's artwork and the sets and, everything coming together. I'm working with people at the top of their game, and that's the gift, and that's what I'm grateful for every day, to be honest. That's the challenge, and watching people and seeing them enjoy what they're doing because of fundamentally the scripts that we've been giving, and that's where it starts. Good writing, and good HODs just culminate in such, beautiful stories.
We've got another question. This one is from Shadow Corp DE on Twitter. How do you think Maladie's mission differs from Amalia's? Why would Maladie, why would Maladie have a different vision? And could they potentially be the same mission, but they've just been interpreted different?
Ooh, these are kind of season 2 questions or part 1B. But really great questions. I know, because I well, to be honest, I don't know why Maladie's the one that sees, the spaceship, and why, Maladie's seems to be spored more than the rest of the Touched. But there will be a reason, and I hope it unveils itself in part B. And yeah, I still like I say, you know, we kind of go script to script. So the storylines just, or we did do, that was the process before, whereas I think maybe now, well, I've been told my arc, but I'm not sure if we'll be given all 6 episodes yet for season 1 part B. But I'm sure we will understand why you know, Maladie's been the chosen one, or what she's going to bring to the party, and also, you know, figure out, her mission. She wants to too. You know, she wants to understand why she's been or why God's inflicted all this pain on her.
Yeah.
You know, and she thinks that she's chosen like Christ was. So I want to know, as the performer of her as well, why she's had to go through all this torment, basically.
Yep. Thank you for that question, Shadow Corp.
Thank you.
We've got another one from Punk Rock Homos on Twitter. I love your hair, they say, first of all.
Thank you.
What do you like most about playing Maladie?
The hair. No. Yes, she does look like she's been dragged through a bush. Although this is kind of straightened-ish. My hair is naturally like Maladie's. It's super like mad and curly.
Mm.
So what do I like about playing Maladie? Yeah.
Yeah, what's your favourite thing?
The favourites, just everything. I love that, you know, it's like I say, the challenges, the energy for Maladie. It's almost like starting Maladie, I was like, how am I going to do this? I can't do this. And then as I was going through the process of speaking her words, I almost felt like, just like, watch me do this, because I'm doing it and I'm investing. So I guess when I'm able to have fun and be peculiar, I think, and be weird, and for that to be okay, and for her to kind of not care what people think, you know, I think the beauty of her is that she's head of the, you know, the underground faction, and, you know, she's the leader, and she's not like the other Touched who have to, you know, who have been ostracized from society and have been looked down upon and are made to feel bad about their powers and things. She's able to enjoy it and inflict pain on others, and she relishes that. Mm-hmm. And I think that power is the gift of Maladie, and that's what I enjoy playing. Just because she gets away with, well, literally murder, doesn't she? She gets away with anything.
Yeah, you're right, though. I haven't really thought about the fact that she's the one Touched, I suppose, that's not hiding from society. You know, she's the only one that's putting herself out there during all of this.
Absolutely. And I think there are still, you know, with Maladie, it's all about trust. She went through such a betrayal at the hands of Amalia that, you know, it's why does she surround herself with her cronies that she's got around her, you know, from Repeater to Clara and the Colonel. You know, it's like, why are these certain people around? And they have to keep moving, don't they? Well, didn't they stay in Selfridges or Claridges or something, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Claridges or something at the time, and the Colonel pretended to be Prince Philip or something. I thought that was funny. But yeah, they've just got all the power in the world, and that's it, you know, and she's enjoying it.
Well, thank you very much for your question, Punk Rock Homos. So kind of on the same lines, but so do you think Maladie can redeem herself? Because she's done a lot. She's been tortured. She's done a bit of torturing and killing herself. Is there still chance of redemption for her?
I have never played a character that I didn't think was redeemable. However, I don't know if, you know, once you get into a headspace like that, I don't know how easy it is to come out of it if you don't have access to like the Priory or rehab or some sort of things like that. But I hope through whatever sort of powers, or through God or the Galanti or something, that I don't know, that, I mean, if you change her temperament, then she doesn't become Maladie. You know, I hope that maybe she doesn't need to forage on and kill people all the time and kill innocents of society as well, you know. That side of her I'm a bit like, I don't agree with, but she wouldn't be Maladie if she wasn't, you know, this crazed ball of energy, would she really? So I don't know. But I just don't know how she can operate the way she does still. I mean, she's got a big vendetta against Haig, and I hope that that's not resolved for a long time yet. You know, you've got to see all that play out, and I hope that plays out, and I hope we actually do see what happened to Maladie in Haig's torture chamber. I mean, we do get the gist because of the shock troopers and watching what Haig's doing, you know, the lobotomy to one of the shock troopers and things. So I hope we see what happens over the 3 years that he's pulling her apart. And also, I'd also like to see what happens with her, you know, her superpower with the eyes. We haven't really seen how she left, have we? Well, also not how she got away from Haig, and how she hasn't ended up as numb and flat as all the shock troopers, you know?
Yeah.
Why she still has a conscience, but the rest of them don't. Or maybe Rose. It's Rose, isn't it? That shock trooper she does. Is that Rosie?
Beth.
It was Rose and Beth, was it?
That's all right. Yeah, it'd be interesting because obviously Maladie was with the Doctor for quite a long time, and like you say, in such a short period of time, he seems to do this zombification almost process to the other touch. So yeah, what was she? You know, what did Maladie go through, and why was her torture so much different to what to all the other touched? But things we will find out, hopefully.
They always reveal themselves, don't they? I remember everyone in the States with episodes 1 and 2 going, too much information, and we need this, and I just felt like, tranquilo. It will all explain itself as it does come episode 6. Not all, I mean, of course, there's heaps that we need answers to, but all the big questions have been answered and will thus far as we move forward.
Moving away from the Nevers for a moment, you have a couple of projects in the works. Spencer, which is a historical drama about Princess Diana, and She Will, which is a thriller currently in post-production. Can you tell us anything about those movies and who you play in them?
Yes, so Spencer, I play Anne Boleyn, and you figure out, it's a beautiful script by Stephen Knight, and you figure out how she fits into the Princess Di storyline, you know, in the film, and it's pretty transparent. She Will is quite it's quite a cookie script too. And I play kind of a caretaker of the land, and it's kind of a weird getaway for people of a certain age to go and kind of like, you know, paint, look after themselves, etc. But everything's not as it seems in the Highlands of Scotland. It's like a retreat that turns into not being what it says on the page.
So this is our last question. If you could have a turn of your own in real life, what ability would it be? And it could be anything. It doesn't have to be one that's in the show. Just anything anything you could do.
I would probably that I could fly over to see my family in Australia quicker, because it takes ages. So my sister's over there with my nephew, and I miss them terribly. So that would be it. I could just transport myself there, like a jetpack that would just like take me 5 minutes, 10 minutes, fine actually, to get from here to Perth in Australia. That'd be great.
10 minutes would be a very good travel time all the way to Australia. Yes.
Although they do it in 17 now, don't they? 16 hours sometimes. Yeah, straight London to Perth. Mm.
Wow. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to chat to us today, Amy.
Thank you.
Where can people find you if they want to find you on social media?
I'm not really on Twitter that often, if I'm honest. So Instagram is more me. And I do get direct messages and everything. So yes, message away.
Thank you to our listeners for tuning in. And this has been the Nevers Podcast. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're so welcome.
This episode of the Nevers Podcast was written, produced, and edited by Matthew at Culture Inject Studios. The intro and outro music was produced by Guilherme Moraes. We are more than just a podcast. We're a fan community. You can keep up to date on the Nevers and chat with other fans. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search HBO The Nevers, all one word, and click that follow button. The Nevers Podcast is not endorsed by Mutant Enemy, Warner Media Entertainment, or any of its subsidiaries, including Home Box Office, HBO, and is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. The Nevers and all names, pictures, and audio clips are registered trademarks and or copyrights of their respective copyright holders.
That was great. I've not spoken to anybody for a while about Maladie, so that was lovely. That was 8 questions as well, and thank you for letting me chat away. Listen, sometimes people don't listen. You'll be shocked.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can see them maybe nervous thinking about next questions and things, but it's nice when you can have a nice conversation. And you guys obviously are huge Whedon fans and obviously now Nevers fans. So thank you for pushing the Nevers and etc. at your end.
No worries, we're enjoying it. It's been fantastic. It's one of those things because you kind of look forward to it so much, and then you worry. So I kind of always go in, level-headed. I don't like to go in like crazy fan and be disappointed. So go in at a normal level, and I'm absolutely loving it so far. And you are just fantastic. Good. So
oh, thanks, Laura. Thank you so much. We'll just wait and see what's in store next.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I need to get my head down. Lots of work to do.